Hi everybody, I'm Joel Gordon. I'm with the Museum of Discovery and you're watching STEAM. That's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And today, guess what? We're talking about robots. So when I say the word robot, what do you think of? I usually think of somebody like this. Remember him? This is one of my favorite robots from one of my favorite movies. Or maybe you think about this guy. Remember this, Dad, Mom? Yeah, we're showing our age now. Also one of my favorite robots. Or maybe this guy. You remember him? Well, is it a robot or is it just a character from a movie? I'll tell you a secret, it's both. And I'll explain that one a little later. Let's talk about what a robot is. There are certain things that define a robot. These are kind of loose rules, but these are the ones that most people tend to concentrate on. The first one is parameters, which means that a robot is designed to work in a certain environment. Like this robot, well, if it is a robot, has legs. And legs are designed to move in a certain environment. Maybe if there was a very rocky surface, wheels wouldn't be so good, so legs would be better. Maybe this guy right here, it's got tracks on the bottom, sort of like a tank, so maybe those tracks would be better in a certain environment. Those are parameters. The next thing is it has to be autonomous, which means it gets around all by itself. It doesn't need anybody dragging it around or pushing it along. It just moves all on its own. The next thing is that it's programmable, which is a funny way of saying that you can talk to it. You can tell it what to do, and it can answer you back and tell you if it's working or not. The next one is, this is a tricky one, it senses its environment. That means that it can see, hear, smell, taste, feel, just like you can. It has different senses, but it has to use electronic components to make those senses work. Now, does a robot really see? No, not really. It uses things like sonar, just like certain animals do, like whales and dolphins or bats. It can send a signal out that we call a ping, and when that signal bounces off of an object, it sends the signal back to the robot so that it can avoid whatever it's moving at. So, let's talk about this guy. Now, this guy sort of looks like a robot. He has little legs and there's wires coming out of him and he's kind of cool looking. There's gears on the bottom. Is he a robot? Can he move around? So I guess in a way he's autonomous, but not really because I'm sort of telling him what to do. So that brings us to the thing where you can talk to it. So is it programmable? Can I tell it what to do? Sure. I can tell it what to do by sending a signal from this box to it through a remote control. But if I just say, hey robot, move forward, yeah, nothing really happens. So he's not really programmable. What about sensing its environment? Here's what we'll do. Let's put a wall up and see if he can avoid the wall. No, he's not a very smart robot. Is he a robot or is he a toy? I'm going to go with toy on this one. But he's not very fancy, so let's get a little fancier. What about this guy right here? That's pretty fancy. Maybe some of you have toys like this at home. It moves around and it's really fast and it looks really cool, but is it a robot? No, not a robot. Still just a remote controlled toy. I can't program it. It can't sense its environment, so it'll run right into a wall if you let it. So again, not a robot. All right, so what about this guy? He's pretty fancy. He's got funny feet, which look like they're only designed to walk on very flat surfaces. He can move his head around. Oh my goodness, he makes noise. He's got a fancy tail. I think this could be getting closer to a robot. What do you think? Let's turn him on and find out. Is he a robot? Are you a robot? He can hear me. He can see me, and he's kind of mean. All right, robot, I'm going to need you to move over there. More like a robot, don't you think? So, he could hear me, he could see me, and I have a remote control so I can tell him what to do. So is he a robot? Well, he's a lot closer. He's, in fact, maybe something that I might call a robot. But to me, there's one more thing that really defines what a robot does, and that's function. A robot needs to do something. We need to be able to tell it to do something very specific. Real-life robots can do amazing things, like the Mars rover. There are robots right now on Mars that are moving around Mars, and they're sending information back to Earth to tell us what they're discovering. It's built to perform very particular functions. It can dig up dirt, sift through that dirt, and look for very specific particles. It can sense the air, sort of smell it, and tell us what things are in the air, in the atmosphere. It can feel things, and it can know how they're shaped, and it can send a camera image back to us on Earth of the things it sees. Those are very specific functions, and I think that that's one thing that really defines what a robot is. Now, real-world robots, that's a completely different issue. In the real world, robots do, well, all sorts of things. One of the things that robots can do, and that robots are designed to do, is to rescue people. There are robots that are built to specifically go into buildings that have collapsed during an earthquake and look for people who have survived the earthquake and tell the rescuers where they are so that they can come in and help them out. There are robots that can dig down into an avalanche to see if anyone was buried under there. There are robots that the Army or the police force use to go into buildings where there are dangerous people and to help to figure out the safest way to go into a building and help out people who are trapped inside. All of those things happen in the real world. Now, if you're interested in the Mars rover, what you can do is go to www.nasa.gov and type in Mars rover. You'll find all sorts of information. You might even become Twitter friends with a Mars rover because they tweet regular messages. So share that with your class and with your teachers and let them know that you can do all of these wonderful things. Tell them what a robot really is and tell them that your remote-controlled toy is not really a robot. It's still pretty cool. All right, I'm Joel Gordon. This has been STEAM. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think about robots and send me a little message. I'd love to talk to you. See you later. Hi everybody, I'm Joel Gordon with the Museum of Discovery, and one more time. R2. Oh, R2.